show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit then, say you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it, and gave 4 years. So, yeah, I have poopy days all the time. All the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine.
I don't want to imagine that. That's horrifying. That was TMI there, Whoopi. Didn't need to know that. It was bad enough when Patrick Swayze was making out with you thinking you were Demi Moore. Now you're, wow. Now you're like, wow. Imagery you can't get out of your head.
It's safe to say that Democrats all over the place are in complete panic mode right now, and especially places like The View, who don't actually have any morals, they don't have any principles, they don't have any logic or reason in their decision making when it comes to endorsing Joe Biden. They are paid shills that are paid to endorse Joe Biden and paid to bring people on their show that also either endorse Joe Biden or they try to convince those people to endorse Joe Biden, such as, you know, whenever they had Charlamagne the God on their show, they were trying to force him into endorsing Joe Biden, even though he said he'd probably vote for him, but he doesn't want to endorse him because he just doesn't think he's a great candidate. In this video, we have Ben Shapiro going after Whoopi Goldberg and The View because they are in absolute panic mode now, ever since all these Democrats are calling for Joe Biden's head, not literally, obviously, but calling for him to step down as the candidate for the next election. Let's get into this video here of Ben Shapiro absolutely torching Whoopi Goldberg and The View. And it's getting sad, dude. It's getting sad watching their mental gymnastics. Whoopi Goldberg literally said in a video that I showed you of Tim Pool yesterday that, you know, she has poopy days too in response to Joe Biden possibly pooping himself on stage. That's her defense. I have poopy days too. Jeez, man, we're in a bad spot. Let's get into this clip here of Ben Shapiro torching Whoopi Goldberg and The View.
So again, Whoopi is like the dumb version of the Democrat, so she says all the quiet parts out loud. So here she is just saying the quiet part out loud, which is, I don't care if he's sentient. I don't care if his brain functions. I don't care if he's crapping himself on a daily basis. At least he's not Trump.
I mean, listen, I'm just going to add my 2 cents because I wasn't here on the day that y'all talked about it. I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit then, say you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it, and gave 4 years. So, yeah, I have poopy days all the time. All the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine.
I don't want to imagine that. That's horrifying. That was TMI there, Whoopi. Didn't need to know that. It was bad enough when Patrick Swayze was making out with you thinking you were Demi Moore. Now you're, wow. Now you're like, wow. Imagery you can't get out of your head. Are you tired of the lies and the twist?
It's also extremely different. You know, look, I'll give her some slack. Maybe she had some food poisoning or something. I don't know about having poopy days all the time. If you're having poopy days all the time, maybe you need to go to the doctor about that and not announce it on The View. But every once in a while, yeah, food poisoning or something, you know, something slips out every now and then. You know, she's up there in age. Who knows? That's completely different than standing on a stage in front of a bunch of people as the president of the United States, the leader of what is supposed to be the greatest superpower in the world, and straining to get poop out. This man is not accidentally farting and some poop slips out. This man is taking a dump on stage in his pants. It's completely different. That's completely different. You know, that's late stage of a deteriorating human being. And it's sad. It's sad to watch. It's sad that I have to sit on these videos and bring extra attention to, you know, an old man getting old. It's sad. I don't like doing that. But these people continue, no matter how bad it gets, they continue to make it seem like, oh, everything's just fine. I have poopy days too. So you have to bring attention to these things. Unfortunately, I don't like doing this. I don't like making jokes about an old man getting old. I think that's like a low blow, but it is what it is. The guy's getting old. He's too old to run the country. You know, let's get into these other clips here of Ben Shapiro. He makes some really good points in this video. You guys know, not the biggest Ben Shapiro fan, but he sometimes he hits, you know.
That is awkward for him. One way to save money is with changing your cell phone service
man,
to
I don't
Pure Talk.
care.
It's half the cost of Verizon AT&T. Moderate lawmakers in the Democratic caucus, and he doesn't actually want to surrender the party to the radical left. He's obviously been very pro-Israel. He put out a statement, quote, regardless of where one stands on the question of President Biden's political future, the intra-party mixed messaging strikes me as deeply self-destructive. Those publicly calling on President Biden to withdraw should ask themselves a simple question. What if the president becomes the Democrat nominee? The drip, drip, drip of public statements of no confidence only serve to weaken a president who has been weakened, not only by the debate, but also by the debate about the debate. Weakening a weakened nominee seems like a losing strategy for a presidential election. The piling on is not so much solving a problem as it is creating and compounding one. The process by which we decide how to move forward matters. As
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Much as the decision itself. So that's not even Torres defending Biden. That's him saying what is obviously true, which is as Democrats continue to wail on Joe Biden, they're actually undercutting his own base of support. Now, is it really going to undercut his base of support, or is it just that everybody had confirmed what they already knew? I think it's more the latter. Now, there are some people who are coming to his actual defense. That would include the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Representative Stephen Horsford of Nevada. He put out a statement saying President Joe Biden is the nominee and has been selected by millions of voters across this country, including voters here in Nevada. The voters in Nevada care about a thriving and equitable economy, taking on big corporations, yada, yada, yada. They know President Biden and Vice President Harris are fighting for them. We're not going back. We're moving forward. Hard to say that you're moving forward when your nominee is literally incapable of moving forward physically. He has to be propped up on some sort of dolly and wheeled forward.
Yeah, two things there. It is mind-blowing that there's Democrats out there, a lot of Democrats out there, who saw Joe Biden's performance in the debate against Donald Trump, and they were shocked at how bad he was. I don't understand how you can be shocked. It's the same thing that we have been seeing for the last 4 years, maybe even better. Like it might have looked even better than he looked over the last 4 years during that debate. I expected him to be worse, which is saying a lot because it was really, really bad. And they're shocked by it. And then number two, I don't think they could possibly undercut Joe Biden's support, because I don't think there are any true Joe Biden supporters out there. There's a few that claim to be, like Destiny, the woke streamer, or like The View, Whoopi Goldberg and The View, which are obviously paid shills to support Joe Biden. But everybody else who votes for Joe Biden, they're just in the camp of it. We must defeat Donald Trump. Like, there's no Biden supporters. There's a very small amount of Biden supporters, I should say, and much, much more Trump haters, you know? So I don't think you could undercut the support for Joe Biden because there's not much of it. And so even if you do undercut it, it doesn't really matter.
Senator John Fetterman, another one of the moderates in the Democrat caucus. Again, I think you're seeing some moderates in the Democrat caucus who are trying to uphold Biden mainly because they don't like the possibility of what comes next. Here is John Fetterman saying, he's fine, everything's cool.
I actually spent the entire day with the president, and he was perfect.
Perfect.
Whether it was in Philadelphia or whether it was in Harrisburg, at every single stop that we had, people were thrilled. I mean, people were thirsty to have their picture taken with the president. And he was crisp and he was engaged. And the Harrisburg event, it was actually in the 90s, and he was crushing. He was just doing fine. It was like a perfect, normal kinds of Joe Biden that I've always seen. And he has to be really happy after that day, because whether we went, they were all great events.
Yeah, unfortunately, no one believes that. At least points for honesty to Whoopi Goldberg. So again, Whoopi is like the dumb version of the Democrats.
And that's basically it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Ben Shapiro's thoughts on all these Democrats, either number one, turning on Joe Biden, or number two, trying to cope and make up things such as, I have poopy days too, the legendary quote from Whoopi Goldberg. I can't, that thing's going to go down in history. I know I'm going to keep it alive. I'm going to use that forever. Let me know in the comments what you think about this Ben Shapiro versus Whoopi Goldberg and The View situation.